My name is Kwesi Baako. Welcome to the editorial. Oh, it feels good to be back. Let me take a sip because I have something to tell you people. All right. For today's consideration, Captain Smart. What kind of journalism is this? Please hear me out, people. Not too long ago, I had the occasion to confront, I should say, my brother, Captain Smart, on some comments he made regarding Shatawale and campaigning for John Mahama and how that connects to his brouhaha with Iyoko, etc. Not too long after that, I've had to come knocking on your door again, Captain. And let us look closely at your style of journalism and how it's impacting the general society. A bit of background will be in place here. Ghanaians seem to have forgotten that this is the same Captain Smart who told Ghanaians that John Mahama had built mansions in Dubai with stolen public funds, only for him to come and retract that story. Personally, I haven't heard any apology after that. Maybe he has apologized to Mahama, I don't know. But beyond that, I think the larger apology should definitely go to Ghanaians. Same Captain Smart, who carried bags of cement to go support the National Cathedral, that monolithic disaster, and still managed to weave out of that to end up on the side of those who oppose that senility. Now, later on, by courtesy of speaking for Mahama, which is something that he is very bold to accept, right? He has managed to reinvent himself into a progressive, nation-loving TV presenter. I must admit, I myself am loving the reinvented Captain Smart when he's on script. And that's the issue. When he stays on script, but does he even have a script to start with? Because that unscripted style that he uses, it's great. It's great for editorial. But if you're going to use that unscripted style, you have to be very alert. You have to be very conscious, because you're speaking out of nowhere, so to speak, right? Out of your inner self. So what you're projecting can slip out at any time if you're not reading off a script. So you should be careful if you're using that style. Okay, now, our captain of the airwaves sits down and speaks like he has some knowledge that nobody else has access to, right? Back in the day, editorials were planned by an entire team. It will be edited, it will be read through several times before it ends up on the desk of the host. Today, with that style that our beloved captain is using, I think he just kind of sits down and speaks. I don't know if his production team sometimes know what the heck he's going to say. But one thing we have to admit, though, is that Captain Smart has a very impressive bank of knowledge, right? Efie, I'm sure he's been to substantial school. I don't know too much about that, but I'm sure he's been to school. But that's not what I'm talking about. He has a bank of institutional wisdom. He knows a lot of Ghanaian society, Ghanaian politics, and all of that. We have to give him that. But that sometimes, I think, goes to his head. Let's watch this video. Let's watch this.
One day, because so far, my quarter office man. And I'm coming to me and say, "Nyame will delay me, pesa." Oh no! Me yes, oh me no.
What is Nyame very far also?
And I'm so no. Chale, who delay me? Papa delay me. I want a clear direction where to go. So don't delay me. Me do fear now. Come on, give me bruta. But what's I'm saying, I confirm. I said that we are. The come maybe I try confirm some of mine. And see, me call Apostle Kojo Safo. The junction now will branch here. Will front over Shell filling station. You are. Yeah. I'm saying, I top biscuit. The top biscuit in the way, you know. And I'm a bedroom. I question them by no. Now me say me am our gate now. No say Kojo. Now, and that's a Sunday. You may have a go. I'm so far. Say, I drive it 555, sir. Then, best park here, me take that car. Also choose, and I will lead you. So, sir, come choose about me. And now me tell my suman say, choose, and I will lead you. If you share presidential candidate, I'm saying, I'll choose Mahama.
We all head for ourselves. Such nonsense. Such arrant nonsense. Your style of journalism, Captain Smart, is telling us that God decided that only you will be the kingmaker based on what I don't know. Only you and this your God way they talk about where you sabi. And it means that if you had chosen Bawumia, in spite of all that Ghanaians were going through, in spite of everything that we're complaining about, in spite of all the factors that made Ghanaians go to the polls and change the government, you're saying that you could have changed that by deciding to choose Bawumia if you wanted to. That is BS. That's an insult to the Ghanaian. Why do we even vote then? Why do we even waste money, tons of money, to campaign, to set up the platforms, to educate people, to do all this fancy stuff? Why do people go and knife and kill each other? If it all boils down to Captain Smart telling God what to do. Make it make sense to me, somebody, please. Because this is nonsense. Such delusion, my friend, is limited to your private circles with like-minded people who believe that one person, you, Captain Smart, can tell God, say, God, give us Mahama, and because of that, God gave us Mahama. And it's not because Ghanaians were suffering and wanted to change the government and went to the polls to vote to change the government. This is what you're using your platform for, Captain Smart. You numbing the minds of the people. And it's wrong. But that's not even everything. Let's go on. Making a comment about, you're kind of saying how he chose Mahama and how Yoko shouldn't arrest Shatawale because he campaigned for Mahama and all of these things. No, as whimsical as they are, that's not even the biggest part. Now, let's look at this. Captain Smart thinks that it's still politics as usual, that because Shatawale supposedly campaigned for Mahama, he should have a jump jail pass. That he, Captain Smart, I believe, so ye bibia, or by expecting he should get a jump jail pass too, because after all, he was the toughest gong in the ensemble. Something that he claims proudly himself. So no, and the singular person that was the most noise, Ama John Mahama to become president. So therefore, are you saying so bibia enya? We should look the other way. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. But all right, let's move it on. Now, let's watch this other video. And that's really where my mind is at. That's really what irks me the most, I should say.
By 2027, May, I am a better month. Nessa Ghana meburu nyejuma me do nyame mahama won't be the president. Then no poku ajimai. Julius Debra chief of staff. They can never. One may so very uncomfortable say. Why have Bakutu Kwaya Oma? The reason is that the youth of this country repose their trust into this administration. And Julius, let me tell you today, listen to me. The youth of this country, let me tell you today. Ghana mebuna dia ban we buy and Julius say. If you don't know, ask your own people to go out there. Let them go to the ground and bring you the information.
Ghana for Musorio. Ghana for Musorio.
Me can in Tamatra wo. We have Medjuma wasem. And me de mini abema no trip motor you first a darling, right?
When
Oka I'm sorry or inaugurate bibi. And Oka chom say go out there as security men. Why ye? And when you hear ke, do keke. And I yes sir. And when you hear keke, do keke. And I'm the idea no at two baby platform so. The way NDC for na kase what platform so si charme no. Obi ade papa ye MP. Catch them say, Captain Swan, it be keke where we go eat. I'm say, hey, ade na si. Hey, NDC for mama money now. Plus or minus. Any part to ababa about me almost 2 million. So when 2 million people decide to give you wahala, okay, John, I am telling you today, Mopa Munjidi, Mopa Munyahe, present a beer Nick Biasimuha, or yeah, Juma Party and this power.
There you go.
Any baby any chroma Ghana, if you come in chroma time, basically, they actually 39 times in 2 years. Because of NDC.
At all.
But me NDC.
That's not factual, but that's the point.
And then people say no.
No.
The truth of the matter is that they are material from where with the PMA and one I made that from a Juma anyhow. NDC for an Casa Yamu party for now. Woman call Nakrana. Yeah, as a as a drama, 8 months. But Obinaka say 8 months, no, because John Dramani Mahama Mayet 2012 from January to August. Says MPP, Dana don't about me and I didn't call court, Bosumi Watria. Come to my Niama Pa, Bomu delay, a Membonu, Bosumi Watri. What it means is that as some of Jomama Kano will translate into a na. What it means is that Bosumi Watri, it's been the yard, the papa. But Bosumi
What logic? But we'll let that slide.
By 10 cities. They say 1044, no. What next? Say, I buy way to be unfed and see from same year. As I make an memoir, as one may can wash it. So I buy way to be unfed and see from same gram. I'm paid you, Mamma Mebuna. I am sure by 2029, the Ghana forces will take over this country. In the Fourth Republic, he'll be the last John. John, I don't know.
Okay, young for what Sema, John has Sema opening Tunchen. Then you address the nonsense that you are churning out, my brother. And I'll try to do this without emotion. I have tried so far. But this is utter nonsense. Let's dissect what this guy is saying. And please bear with me. Today we're taking time to do the editorial because we need to do it. And we can't rush through it. We need to make people understand what the impact this style of journalism is having on Ghanaians. Check this out. The man says that Mohammed's ministers, play, please. Continue playing Continue playing the video. Newsroom, please. Bring that video back. I think so there's something that I want to react to. Let me tell
you this. One for will not see from Say, ministers, no one here, Juma. Ministers, who is working? Abrochian Kwana, Mama can't say one table. When Siamia, and you was a bang away. Any time you look pet and a year, Joma Hamanakasani, Julius Debra.
Okay, I don't know me person motino. What is Sema Akwa Weika? Doesn't it baffle your mind? Doesn't it? Let's back that with some data. Okay, this man is saying, Mahama's ministers are not working. Only Mahama and Julius Debra are working. That is sycophancy. This guy is cuddling up to Julius Debra. Basically, he knows Mahama has, as somebody would say, attack dogs, right? John Mahama is in a spot where you can't easily touch him right now. So he will single him out. And his sycophant nature is cuddling up to Julius Debra. And then he makes a statement saying nobody else in the government is working. Captain Smart, how do you bring the city from 17 cities to 12 cities, almost 10 cities at some point, without any of the ministers working? How is that possible? John Mahama, and yes, John Mahama, the communications expert, yeah, we know he's smart as heck. But on yes, our economic wizardry only Julius Debra. Are you serious? You're not seeing the relative stability. I mean, the relative, you can't say, a cut down in the crime rate. And here, John Mahama Nkwa, Interior Minister, has nothing to do with that. You haven't seen school children being fed better food. You haven't seen the whole educational system being reworked. That's only John Mahama and Julius Debra's work. Haruna Idrisu has nothing to do with that. Wankasa, you mentioned Basintali. You see Basintali and his association with Wankasa Shatawale. Oh, Mama Raimi crowd. Basintali, Shatawale.
Radio culture.
Nanyan, you haven't seen the collaboration between Basintali and Shatawale? You haven't seen that? You haven't seen massive reforms in every sector, wherever you look. And what shocks me the most, crowd, and annoys me as well, is that I sat through 1 hour, almost an hour, if not an hour and more, of interview, right, with this same Captain Smart. And one of the best ministers in this government that I've spotted so far, Eric Opoku. In that interview, eye-opening interview, I shared that interview. Police will bear me out. I shared it with police as well. Right? But eye-opening interview about not just the government's policies, but explain the policies and showed successes that they have chalked so far and gave timelines. On your own show, Captain Smart. Opesotem said Eric Opoku is not working. Don't do that, brother. Ushia Eric Opoku and now, with all that niceness that you were talking to him on your show, all that, on ye Juma. John Mahama Kwane ye Juma, any Julius Debra Kwane ye Juma. That's not right. As a Obetinasia, you just speak out of emotion, whatever it is. And let me address that issue also before we wrap this up. Or say, and NDC for Nankasa be essay. We go job. Captain, let me tell you something. There will always be people who would be naysayers within the NDC party. Because John Mahama cannot give everybody appointments. So those who don't get appointments are very likely to murmur. So if you hear that and you use that as the barometer for say, where are the jobs are, you're wrong. You're wrong because there's somebody who is totally anti-Mahama. Imagine if Koko Onyuroho was still in the NDC at this time. What would please him? And again, let me tell you again. Let me share this short story. It's important. Let me share this short story to express a point. Back in St. Peter's Secondary School, right, I was part of the basketball team. And I believed myself, at least among the team there, I was one of the, And then we had a game with Impraiso Secondary School. First team to start the game, my name was not on the list. I was livid. I was like, how? And I didn't hide it. I was angry. And Mr. Oti, I was sports master at St. Peter's at the time. He said something to me. Thank you, Mr. Oti. That thing has lived with me till this day. He said to me, listen, I don't necessarily present my best team in the first team. If I put all my best players in the first team and they wear them out, who am I going to replace them with? So you sit down here. You are a super sub. Sit down. Thank you, Mr. Oti. So for those of you in the NDC Namunya appointments, I hear people wondering why people like Ezaneto Rawlings is not in a more visible position. I hear people campaigning for Elvis Efriye Ankara to be in a more visible position, etc., etc. If John Mahama puts all his best material forward, when it comes time for reshuffle, who is he going to reshuffle these people with? Do you think it's wise to put your best team up and then when it's time to reshuffle, then you shuffle and bring in a weaker team? No. So you should know that John Mahama is keeping some strong material in his pouch. But it's also a reshuffle, which I think he will do, unlike Akufo-Addo. He will have some great material to reshuffle people with. So don't rush. Keep quiet. It's only 8 months. Captain Smart, 8 months is less than a quarter of John Mahama's administration. So to judge him by saying he hasn't found jobs for his party people, which is wrong, by the way, because if there's anything that even the NPP praises John Mahama for, it's for showing acknowledgement to his party people. What are you talking about? Any which ways, let me wrap this up. And I have a video to show you, one more video. I promise it's not going to be too long. I won't show you the whole thing, by the way. And then I have one more. I have just one quote. And with that, we should be out of here. Please stay. Let me look for this video to show you. It is important. Yes, watch this.
Okay. Yeah. Well, one video your MPP ni biya but more than share video because you need bempa nenya Reverend Dr. Osu bempa ono na yani nenya because that guy or dangerous when it comes to the spiritual things or dangerous or bet try or bet change figures in the realm of the spirit against Baumia but enye juma and then akwanchire bia who sa video but more than share. On the 7th of December, ukoto aba wia per communion wine when your communion wine pensuo ne fegu form ne ka kire nyankopon se akwankyire bia bempa aye etie alaji mamudu baumia sa akwankyire ne ensen obo na danie e wo Jesus Christ mum erade abompa wo Yesu Kristo dimu.
It's painful to watch, so I will not bore you anymore with that. I just wanted to make a point. Captain Smart, your type of journalism, no, this is what it breeds. This is what your type of journalism breeds. People who do not. When I say people do not think, it sounds like an insult. So I'm trying to find a synonym. But brass tacks people who do not reason. It's the word I'm looking for. And that's what your type of journalism brings. Because instead of people focusing on the bread and butter issues, on the development issues, no, they're thinking, say, people like you, Captain Smart, single-handedly can tell God, say, God should give us Mahama, and that's why he gave us Mahama. But you could have chosen Baumia. Heck, you could have chosen Kofi Akpalu to be our president. That is some monolithic bullshit. And before I go, let me check this out. Captain, you also say that you are a reincarnation of Kwame Nkrumah. I've heard you say that a couple of times. If you indeed are a reincarnation of Kwame Nkrumah, then you should be very familiar with this quote. And now, once you have that quote in mind, anytime it comes to your mind to judge, not just John Mahama, but any leader at all, anybody who's doing anything at all, use this as a barometer, right? Sajfo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah says, those who would judge us merely by the heights we have achieved would do well to remember the depths from which we started. Captain, you know where this country had sunk before John Mahama and his government took over. Stop the nonsense. My name is Kwesi Baako. I come in peace, but I never come to please. Newsroom, commercial break, please.